Hello guys, back once again. This time I found an interesting topic I want to talk about. NPDR put on their blog, All Tech Considered site. It's called How Video Games Are Getting Inside Your Head and Your Wallet. Despite the title, this is basically about kids and video games. And once again, this is completely plastering video games in a bad light, that kids can't control themselves and they're out to manipulate kids, blah 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 blah. Listen, the beginning of this article starts off with how kids have like their own man caves now, and they have a big screen TV, and they have headphones, and they have a microphone, and they have an Xbox. And to be honest with you, this is not the typical kid. I don't know any kids who have a big screen TV in their bedroom. Okay? They have an Xbox. Okay, this kid's a teenager, 13 years old. Of course, a teenager's probably going to have a video game system in his room, right? Especially a boy. Well, what cracks me up about this is, this article goes into how they influence kids' behavior in powerful ways and how it's bad, and researchers say companies tweak games to get players to stay on longer. Well, of course, everybody knows that. Anybody who has a brain who's ever played video games knows video games, of course, today have tweaked them for you to stay and play longer, whether it be multiplayer or otherwise, to buy virtual goods or whatever to keep you playing the game. Of course, it's in their business best interest to do that. And they start off with this 13-year-old kid's mother who says, I really hate it, I really do, and that, my son can play Xbox for 12 hours straight, and he has friends in Mexico City and in England. She goes, but when I took it away and told him, go play tennis or golf, he started to cry. And it's funny about that was that I remember, and this is way, back in the day, back when I had an Atari 2600, we got one in Christmas of 80, and when my mom thought I'd play too much, or she also, when she thought friends were taking advantage of me just to get there and play, she would tell me to shut it off and go play. You played enough. And it wasn't, and sometimes that would be, you played enough for the rest of the week, or it's just for that day or whatever. And so, what I would do is when she would say, at first I'd be upset, of course. I want to play. I'd argue my case, of course, like every kid or teenager does, and of course you always end up losing that argument, but you try anyway. But after that, I would just go, okay, fine. I would go out and play basketball. Maybe go play my with my Transformer action figures. I would do something else. Completely put out of my mind, because I know, what? I can't play that. She's not going to bend. I'm going to go do something else. And they keep talking about how in this article technology gets sophisticated, and that these companies have all these units set up just kids, and what makes me laugh is, of course, they bring up Call of Duty and they bring up Farm Bill and how games are now free to play, but you got to pay for it, and they say, well, kids are spending a lot of money to make game purchases, and to be honest with you, kids probably do make up a sizable chunk of that market, because unlike the adults who have responsibilities and bills, kids don't have that in their life. Whatever money they have, they can spend on whatever they want. So of course, it would make sense that their income would go to video games. And they talk about how this one father family, and the father was a gamer, how they thought the kids were spending too much money on this app. And all this article to me comes down to, and they go on further in this article before I summarize it, is basically, Apple settled a class action lawsuit where, kids can make in-app game purchases without their parents' permission and so forth, which isn't right, let's be honest here, But all the stuff they talked about, and they end this article with how this woman said she would give her son 30 minutes a day to play video games. But the problem was he wouldn't think about his homework, he wouldn't think about helping out or anything else. He was always thinking about those 30 minutes he had video games. And when she took it away for the week, he was almost relieved, like it was no longer a problem. But ultimately, this whole article, despite all what they say, the summation of this is, the problem here is the parents, not the kids. The problem is the parents putting their foot down and saying enough is enough. That's the unfun part of being a parent, is you have to, it's cool when you can be the friend and you get along, but there are the points where, okay, listen, you've done this enough. In our household, for example, video games go, we rarely ever let my son play video games during the week. because there's just not enough time. By the time he goes to school, and then, we gotta eat dinner, and any homework, or all the other stuff, there really isn't enough time for him to get into games. So it'd almost be like starting it, and then if we stopped it, he'd be upset, and he would probably focus on that. Now, every kid is different, right? This is one of the things I hate about these articles. Every kid is different with a different personality. Some kids, you can leave video games on 24 hours, 24/7, wouldn't affect their concentration on what they have to do. Other kids, they have it on for 5 minutes, and that's all they concentrate on, nothing else. It comes down to, and let's be honest, someone made a very cool comment to this article that I totally agree with. It's like, well, kids tend to mimic or do what their parents do. So if the kids are playing video games, they have to, a lot of times maybe they're mimicking the parents, or maybe the other thing is kids like like sons tend to gravitate to want to do things with dads, and daughters will gravitate to want to do things with moms. Not necessarily exclusive. It could be mother or father, but normally that's how it works. And for a son, if all dad does is play video games and nothing else, then he's probably going to gravitate towards that because he wants to spend time with them. He thinks that's the way to spend time with him, get his approval, whatever. That's what kids seek. They seek approval. They seek, time with their parent, And like for me, because we don't let my son normally play video games, rarely ever during the week, I'm not allowed to play video games until after he's in bed at nighttime. And you know what? I'm rarely ever have a problem with that. Of course, you get a new game, you want to play it, but at the same time, you know what? You have to set the precedent yourself. If you have a kid, it's easy to give in, right? It's easy to go, here's the phone, here's the tablet, here's the controller, go play, and you can do your own thing. But it's harder not to do that. It's for you to want to do things with them that necessarily isn't the easy way out. It's easy for someone to give their kid a TV controller or whatever and say, go watch TV and leave me alone. It's harder to find more creative ways to do that. I mean, as a parent, I've been lucky with my son, and I'd give my wife more credit than that because I work during the day, so she's home with my son, and we're lucky with him that, when it comes to TV, he doesn't really watch a lot of TV. When it comes to video games, he'll always want to play Minecraft and stuff like that, but you know what? We limited him to it, and he understands the rules are the rules. Sometimes, of course, like everything, every so often he wants to play a game, and he tries to bend the rules, but it doesn't work. The only time we allow him to play a game for him is, and this is the one aspect they don't talk about this article, that anybody who has a kid now knows of today. Today there are things like Super Kids and other stuff that schools use that you can log on, your kid can play educational games. That kind of stuff, when he has for example, a spelling test coming up, and the Super Kids have it, well, he can get on there and play because he's studying, for whatever half hour, whatever it is. We limit him to it. We let him play that because it's educational. The one thing they never talk about in these articles is the fact that video games, certain forms of video games, are very educational. It's not all the shooting and the in-app purchase. There are educational video games for your kids to play, and they never talk about in the article how that it is what you tailor towards your kid, not what you let them tailor to what they want. It is, as a parent, it's always your job to direct them in the right direction. It is not a fun thing to do, but that's what you have to do. Anyway, I'll leave a link below for you guys to read the article. We'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. I've talked about enough. If you're still watching at this point, I'll talk to you guys soon. Talk to you later.